A lot of times a narcissist is going to give you a lot of mixed signals whenever the relationship is coming to a close. Sometimes that's just out of desperation. Sometimes that's out of manipulation. Sometimes, who knows? They kind of go crazy sometimes at the end of that relationship. So you might be in a relationship, you might have gotten out one. Maybe you're in the dating phase, or you're, a fiance or something like that, or you're married, or you're just a life partner there, and you're in this state of this relationship sucks. Like, this relationship is not in a healthy spot. It's not going in a healthy direction. The other person is not supporting. They're controlling. They're abusive. They're manipulating. They're gaslighting. Like, go down a whole list and a whole litany of everything that they're doing, and you start realizing, like, hey, I need to get out. Sometimes that'll come out in arguments. That'll come out in frustrations where you start talking to, like, maybe this isn't the best thing for me. Maybe this isn't where we should be. Maybe this isn't, maybe this just isn't working out. And in some relationships or in people that you've seen, like, sometimes that works. Sometimes they can have a conversation and both parties agree, like, okay, we're going to separate. We're going to break up. We're going to get a divorce. That's typically not how it happens with a narcissist. You have the narcissist that'll just walk out, they'll just discard you and move on to the next one. Or you have the ones that are heavily involved in the relationship, in the manipulation, in the gaslighting, the control, everything like that. And you start to bring up the idea of leaving, all hell breaks loose. You'll see the rage, you'll see the anger, you'll see the manipulation, all the tactics like accelerate and go up to a whole nother level. Because they don't want you to leave. They don't want you to actually walk out that door and leave, because a lot of times you're helping them boost their ego to other people. So when you think about it, especially in a marriage, I see this a lot in marriages where you'll have, let's say the narcissist, or he starts to realize that the marriage is falling apart. He starts to realize that you're actually considering taking back your power, taking back your control, and leaving the relationship. Well, first off, a lot of times you're going to love bomb. So he's going to come home, give you flowers, try to make you feel better, try to have a connecting point. That might not work. Well, I mean, it won't work long term, but that might not work for the moment. So then he's going to try to look for what's another way. Okay, now we start hitting a little bit more desperation phase of, okay, well, we just need to work on our communication. Like, that's all it really is. Like, it's not really my fault. It's not really your fault. Like, we both have issues, but we just need to work on our communication. Okay, well, maybe we need to go to counseling. Like, okay, let's go to couples counseling. That way we can work on our communication issues. We can try to fix this up, everything like this. And you start seeing like slight bits of like desperation of like, oh, I want to save the marriage, or oh, I want to save this relationship. And for most people in those times, it can seem really conflicting and seem like, oh, like they actually do want to change. Like, oh, there actually is kind of hope. And they start thinking like, this might actually work. So then they go to counseling, they go to therapy, things like that. And all of a sudden they realize like, this is not what it's cracked up to be. They walk into the therapy, you walk into the counseling center, and you sit down and you start talking to the person. And all of a sudden you realize that the person beside you is completely different than the person that you interact with at home. All of a sudden they're nice, they're interacting, and they start tweaking every single story, thing that gets brought up, discrediting you, defaming you, and making every single thing that you've said seem like it's just like very pitiful, seem like it's very small. They'll literally twist every single thing. They'll say you're overreacting. They'll say like how they tried, but you did this, how you responded and how you were abusive. Like, they'll literally take every single thing that they've done. They'll try to figure out a way and be able to twist it back on you. That's why I advise multiple times. I've said to multiple people, but there's still a lot more people out there that need to hear this. If you are with a narcissist, if you know you're with a toxic person, with a narcissist, do not go to couples counseling, because couples counseling is just a way to manipulate and destroy you even further. Trust me on this. Like, I've seen it happen. I have countless stories of people that I've talked to one-on-one, people that have messaged in or have emailed the website and have said, hey, like, this is true. We went to counseling. It went like this. We went to counseling. It went like this. We went to counseling. It went like this. The gaslight, the therapist, he gaslit me. He absolutely like went to a whole nother level. Like, when she was in counseling, like, she completely manipulated the situation and made it seem like I was the bad guy when et cetera, et cetera. Like, literally the list goes on and on of example of people that have gone to couples counseling and actually seen it just fall apart and be like the worst thing ever, because you see the empath that walks in, that all of a sudden walks out starting to question themselves if they're the narcissist. Sometimes the therapist will question that. Sometimes the counselor will be like, oh, I'm going to side with the narcissist. Like, literally a lot of times it will fall apart really quickly. Now, there's other times where you might be in counseling and it might seem like decent. Like the actual counseling session, like the narcissist seemed cordial, you seem cordial, like everybody seemed to like get along. And then you get in the car. And in the car comes the rage. In the car comes the anger. In the car comes the manipulation that gets you to the place of like, whoa, like I'm the reason that my husband's a narcissist. No, you're not. You might think that. You might wonder that because they're great at gaslighting. They're great at manipulating because they'll come to the table and they'll say, hey, if you hadn't done this, I wouldn't be this way. And that's where you need to change that mindset. You need to change that thought in your head. Be like, no, if you were a fucking man, you would make your own decisions and you would learn to live in a way that's honoring and respectful to another person. That's it. But how it gets twisted in counseling or after counseling will completely mess with your mind and you'll completely be so confused of what's going on. So, end of relationship, you'll have, the husband, the spouse, the partner, like whoever it is, they'll have maybe some love bombing, gaslighting, all this kind of stuff. So love bombing comes out first. Then you have like, okay, like let's try to go to counseling. Maybe you've experienced that. If you have, like leave some comments down below just to let people know like, hey, it's real. It happens. Like this is my experience. This is what happened. Don't do it. Okay. Then a lot of times you'll have gaslighting. You'll just have complete gaslighting of everything that's happened in the past. So maybe you're not going to counseling. Maybe they stop love bombing and then they're just trying to gaslight you. Like, that's not true. Like, I haven't been that bad. We haven't had that many arguments. There hasn't been this much that's gone on. I haven't abused you like that. I haven't hit you that many times. I haven't, and it'll go on and on and on to the place where you start doubting, like, like it actually hasn't been that bad. Like I have a roof over my head. Like they're like loving, like every 20 days. Like it actually isn't that bad. And you start justifying like every single little thing because they start gaslighting you. Like that actually didn't happen. Like, no, I have pictures of you cheating on me. Like, no, that was something else. Like, no, like they'll literally deny everything and they'll try to gaslight you into believing that it never happened. So they're going to come back at you. They're going to love bomb. They're going to try to get help as far as like, convincing you to go to counseling, therapy, whatever, so they can manipulate the other person. They'll see about like gaslighting you. And then sometimes you'll get to the last moment and you're getting ready to walk out the door and guess what they do? They beg. The person that has treated you awful the entire relationship, the person that has basically told you to get out multiple times, either in their words or their actions, will all of a sudden turn around and will start begging you. And they'll start saying like, oh, I'm going to change, like I'm going to work on this, all this kind of stuff. And they'll make a lot of these future faking promises about what's going to happen. And you stand there on the edge of the door frame and you look back at the narcissist. He's crying. She's like crying, like begging you to be like, I'll do this. I'll do whatever you want kind of thing. And there's a moment inside you that starts to think like, maybe they're right. Like maybe they will change. Maybe this could work out. Maybe this is the moment that they're going to change and switch everything up and life is going to get back to how it was at the very, very beginning of like perfect and awesome and happy and connected. And you falter in that step for just a moment. But then you realize that the person that's standing there or that's on their knees or that's begging you in the moment is the same person that for countless hours abused you, that hurt you emotionally, mentally, physically, sexually, you name it. The list goes on and on. And the person just in the past couple months when talking about divorce was the one that tried to manipulate you into staying by giving you a bunch of gifts or like lavishing praise on you. They tried to manipulate the situation by twisting it around so that you would think that it's all your fault. They tried to tell you that, hey, like it actually didn't happen that way, and they've lied to you and they've messed with your mind to make you think that real events that have happened never even existed. And then they're there at the very end begging and pleading. And we're not talking about like lying or cheating or all the other stuff that comes along with it typically. We're just talking about those three things that have led you up to this point, and they're there at the last moment begging and pleading and crying out for you to give them one more chance. How many chances will you give someone that continues to abuse you? You see, we want to justify it. We want to say, hey, it's okay. Hey, they're going to change. Hey, all this kind of stuff. But you have to stop yourself in the moment and stop thinking with feelings and start thinking with the facts. And the facts of the matter are, hey, if they wanted to change, they would have changed the million times that I gave them before I decided I was going to leave. If they wanted to change, they would have been honest the thousands of times that I asked them, hey, just be honest with me. Tell me the truth. The truth is a lot easier for me to hear than be gaslit and get all your lies. If they wanted to change, they would have made the effort. And that change only comes from them. You can't force it. You can't manipulate it. You can't contract it. You can't have anything like that come from anyone else. It has to come from them. And if they're not willing to put forth the effort and give that change, it's not going to happen. You'd be amazed sometimes how many narcissists, how many toxic, how many abusive people at the very end will pull out all the bells and whistles to try to stop you from leaving. Why? So they can manipulate you longer, so they can control you longer, so they can keep their ego intact as far as how they look in the community, to their family, to their work, so they can preserve their financial security by living in the same house, by not having to pay child support, by not having to do X, Y, and Z, having to get lawyers, attorneys, anything like that. They'll find the easiest route that's going to keep them engaged and keeping you under control. Take back your power. Take back control. Get out. Ghost. No contact. If you like what you see here today, please subscribe. Would love for you to follow on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Just give a shout out. Let us know what you're dealing with. Would love to talk to you. I do one-on-ones. We love interacting with different people. So just interacting, helping you grow, helping you get from where you are now to the next place, whether that's out of an abusive relationship or whether that's working through multiple things in your life. Would love to talk to you more. Thank you so much.